Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first AR or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley. I am joined today by my very special co-host, Garth Ober.
Oh, you changed it up. I'm very special. It feels like I'm a very special agent. Anthony DiNozzo. Sorry. That's where my mind went.
You're just very special, like the Olympics.
Oh, dude. So much so I could take gold, silver, and bronze in one event.
And with that, we also have good friend of the show who has been on before. We have Mike Cap from North Carolina. How are we doing?
Outstanding. Thank you for the invite.
Yep. And then Mike brought with him tonight. We have Jeffrey and Michael also with from Memorial 3 Gun. Doing great. Thanks you guys so much for joining us. We'll do this, and there we go. Make everyone just a little bit bigger there on the background for our live viewers. And now, how are you guys all doing tonight?
Doing well. Thanks for having us on.
That's right.
Yep.
We're doing great, and it's a pleasure to talk about Memorial 3 Gun with you guys.
Well, sounds good. And I know that we had a little hiccup with some time stuff coming up. So tonight we're going to jump right into Memorial 3 Gun just so that you guys can get back to doing the things that you needed to do. So, guys, why don't you tell us and our listeners a little bit about Memorial 3 Gun?
Well, I'll start us off. My name is Michael Berger. I am with the Memorial 3 Gun Foundation. I run the social media pages for the foundation. So the stuff you see that comes out of the foundation on the social media platforms mostly comes from our whole team and then filters through me and pushed out. I'll let Jeffrey introduce himself as well, and then we'll roll into a little bit more about the foundation.
I'm Jeffrey. I'm the lead ambassador for Memorial 3 Gun. We've got a team of ambassadors around the country that help spread the word of the foundation and help us expand the reach of the foundation so that we can continue to give to the Gold Star families that we support.
Okay, now that is awesome. I was going to say, you've talked about the foundation, so I would like to know more, or tell us a little bit about it, because you mentioned things that are very very special to me as well, and that's Gold Star families. And why don't we talk a little bit about the foundation and what it is that you guys support?
So a little bit about the foundation and kind of the way it all came about was through our president, Eric Torres. He was active duty SF, and he spent some time, like everybody else, back home doing training and teaching. And what ended up happening was, while he was back here stateside, unfortunately, he had lost some of his brothers to during the fight in Afghanistan and overseas and other places. That sparked him to start the foundation in a way that remembered the fallen special operations soldiers and their families. So each year the foundation hosts a 3-gun event, and during that event we honor 10 fallen special operations soldiers. And during that event we bring out the families. There's all kinds of camaraderie, food, it's a whole event, and it's really unique. So it's less about the grief and more about trying to remember who these individuals were as a person, while also connecting the community to the family and getting that personal touch with it as well.
Kind of more a celebration than a...
Exactly.
It is really a celebration of life. There's 10 stages in the match, and each stage is dedicated to one of the fallen soldiers. Each stage has a poster with their pictures and their story. The families come out. The families get to shoot the stage. If you're in the competition world, especially the 3-gun world, typically you walk up to the stage, you get a stage brief, you shoot the stage, and you walk off. Here, the first thing that happens is we hear the story. Sometimes we get to hear the story from one of their teammates who is on our squad or at the match, and we honor them in that moment before we shoot the stage that's dedicated to them, and it gives us a connection point to them and their lives and their family. The first time that I participated in the Memorial 3-gun, I was not an ambassador. It took about 2 stages for me to understand that I wanted to be involved with the foundation because of the impact that it had on me personally, as well as seeing the impact that it had on those loved ones that were left behind. So it's really an incredible foundation. We've got 68 honorees to this point. We'll have another 10 honored this year, and it continues to grow. The foundation has 4 primary objectives that it focuses on. We are obviously raising money for the Gold Star families to provide support. The first $100,000 we raise goes to the 10 honoree families. So each family will receive a $10,000 check at the end of the event. The second objective, with additional funds raised, is to generally support the families, whether it's Christmas gifts, whether it's repairs to the houses, scholarships, but which we continue to offer support to the families, not just in the year of their honoree. The third is to try and provide really a lifetime trip, an all expense paid trip that some of the families wouldn't do or couldn't do, whether it's Disney World or something of that nature, but to take care of them and give them just that moment, that time for them to enjoy and get away. And the last thing, which is kind of our long-term objective, is our hope and our plan to be able to either pay off a family's mortgage or build them a house. So we've got some lofty goals for the foundation. The foundation is kind of shifting from just this match event as being our primary driver to a much broader audience and support platform. And all that shift is happening later this year and into 2025 because the mission is bigger than we imagined, and the impact is bigger than we imagined. And so we really are working to try and grow this so we can continue to support as many families as we can.
That is an amazing story of what the foundation is. And I could not think of something that we need to, post more about and talk about, because again, this is something that everyone can get behind. Like as you're talking about it, hearing their story and those types of things, that's something that gets lost in the shuffle a lot of times. I know that I've been in the military for 24 years now, and in dealing with some of those things, I've been to military wakes, and it ends up being a lot of buddies sitting around having a couple drinks, telling funny stories and laughing about dumb things we've done, or stuff like that happens. And or like this one time, remember when he ran his head into a cutting edge that was hanging off? Like that type of stuff where you have that little bit of just the memories and bonding, and it brings a special place to come in where you get a little bit more of it's not just reading a plaque or hearing something that happened. It's you actually get to experience a little bit about that person as well.
It's interesting you say that. So Sunday, after the match is over, we do an award ceremony, and at that ceremony, every family is given the opportunity to get up on stage and talk about their loved ones. I don't know of a more impactful event for somebody to witness and to be there. It's a mixture of laughter, tears, grief, joy. And it's coming from the mouths of their wives, their mothers, their sisters, their brothers, their fathers. It's an incredible experience. I wish and hope that everybody gets an opportunity to see that, to get a chance to see life through their eyes and what their son meant to them. And, you know, Michael and I have been involved in it for quite a number of years, and we've built relationships with some of these families that, you know, we communicate throughout the year. We can't wait to see them when they come back to the annual event. It just has such a moving experience that so many that aren't involved in the military life don't get an opportunity to see.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I know that it's, you know, when we talk about that foundation, I cannot think of a more, you know, as I said earlier, like worthy cause and reason for us to bring this to our listeners and kind of talk about it is this is a little bit heavier, you know, at the beginning than we kind of talk about, because it's, hey, we're talking about this and Gold Star families, which is, you know, a heavy topic and something that nobody likes to talk about. But like, let's be real, the brass tacks of it is that's, well, what happens. And it's a very real fact of the job. But with that, we can also celebrate their life, have a good time, help out their families, you know, for honoring both the family sacrifice and the service member sacrifice. And there's still ways to have a good time while doing it. And I've never met anyone that's like, yeah, man, when I go, I want everyone to just be pissed off and not have a good time when they're remembering me. I mean, I probably know people who think that.
I think that's kind of one of the things that sets this event apart and has kind of kicked off what this has turned out to be and changing the growth of moving forward with the foundation. But I think that's kind of the intent of where it kind of has started and where it's gone, is you're kind of giving these families an opportunity to see the life of that service member, of that community, through, obviously competitive shooting is not combat. However, it gives these family members an opportunity to handle the same firearms, to do the same type of, you know, shooting and things that their family members trained on. So I think that's kind of one thing that really sets it apart from just some sort of remembrance event, is they get to have these hands-on experiences and almost put themselves back in the shoes of their loved one.
Yeah, it's like you're talking about that, like, you know, the families being able to use some of the weapons and things of that nature. When you were explaining it and having the, you know, saying like each stage is dedicated to a service member, there was a match. I heard about it the second year they did it. I think they only did it for 2 or 3 years, but it was a match I wanted to go shoot, but never could. And it was in southern Utah, but they dedicated each stage to a Congressional Medal of Honor winner. And each stage was based somewhat on the actions they did to win or to, you know, get the Medal of Honor. So it was like crawling through a big culvert and then engaging so many targets and picking up a weird stage rifle. And I was like, man, that sounds awesome. And they called it Hard as Hell 3-gun.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
Yep.
And I don't think they do that match anymore. But when you're talking about it, I was like, man, this has some shades of that to it as well. Just because, but I think it's better to actually honor and hear about it, because it's one thing to go, oh yeah, I have this stage that reminded me of it. But to actually kind of meet some of the individuals is also, you know, equally as awesome.
There's, you know, at each stage, like I mentioned, there's a poster, you know, it's really a banner. It's a vinyl banner with pictures and the story and stuff. Every competitor and everybody that works the match signs that. And that is presented to the families at the end of the match, at the event where they have the opportunity to talk about their loved ones. And it's just, a show of support. There's an incredible picture if you go back in our social media of one of the honorees with where their son is on his hands and knees in their living room on the poster staring at his dad. It's just it's incredible. I mean, the memories. I remember going with another ambassador to escort a wife and son to her loved one, her husband's stage, and we came around the corner. Son was probably 3 years old, 4 years old, in her arms and very timid. And he sees the poster and he starts saying to his mommy, "Mommy, mommy, we found Daddy. We finally found Daddy." And we couldn't hold it together. You know, when you see that, you understand the loss, you understand the emptiness, and you understand the responsibility we have to try to support those families and to give them some life back.
Yep, that's a very real thing, and that's awesome that you guys have that opportunity. And I know it kind of tugs at the heartstrings for everybody, listening to it, but it's again just a fact of what's going on. So now that we've made everyone depressed and sad, let's cheer everyone up again.
Yeah.
My brilliant segues into things. But so let's talk about a little bit about like some of the stages and match, because I know that having a match like this sounds awesome. And I know that with some of the people involved, this isn't just okay, we're going to stand here, we're going to shoot 5 rounds and we're going to walk off.
Oh no. Oh my God. It is totally awesome.
It's unlike any match you can shoot in the country because of the facility. You know, you're on a private facility. The facility has the ability to do things that you can't do on some of the general lanes, certainly on military bases. They have airplane fuselages, helicopter fuselages. They've got moving vehicles. I mean, last year we had 3D moving targets at distance that you had to shoot from the roof of a vehicle. You have the opportunity to win a raffle to go up in the Little Bird and shoot from the Little Bird targets.
Which you got to do that.
I did get to do that. And it was, it's so the opportunity to shoot a match that has such a great honor, but also has such a unique. I mean, I've never shot from a moving vehicle when I first went there, and here we are shooting from this moving vehicle, trying to shoot steel. Things of that nature. It just adds to the experience because you're not going to get it at any other 3-gun match across the country.
No, and that is awesome. For anybody who's never done it, shooting from a moving vehicle is something that is unique, and once you figure it out, it can be pretty easy.
But I'm not going to speak of it because I'm not going to incriminate myself. So,
I've done full-on courses about it.
Well,
he did say once you figure it out.
I figured it out.
Right. Yeah, guys, but like with the foundation, that drew me to it in 2018 when I retired, and I had to retire early from Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department due to some injuries, which were compounded by injuries I got for my deployments from the Navy Reserve, and one of which has a IA where I was attached to the Marines, and we just get beat up. I happened to be squatted with these 2 great guys, Bryson and Jordan, and I had reached a point with my legs. They were bone on bone. I mean, imagine every step you take, your teeth are grinding. I understand ultimate physical pain. And those 2 guys helped me get through the Noveski match. By the end of the match, I was walking around with 2 canes just to get around. But their sheer energy and motivation kept me going. Now, here's a guy who's broken and disabled. They invited me to the match that they were planning their very first match. And I'm going like, are you kidding? Do you see me right now? I cannot even stand without a painkiller. That really impressed me. Fast forward, I ended up shooting the match in 2020 as a member of the Navy Reserve action shooting team. And what really touched me, like what Jeffrey said, after you get to the second stage, you really realize what it's all about. Because I know the match that you were talking about where they talked about the Medal of Honor winner and what they did to get there. There's actually from my personal experience and my recollection, there's very little of that about this is what they did when they died. It was more about how did these men live? What did they like to do? How involved were they with their family? And I had to start and reflect on like, how would I like to be remembered? Because I spent 28 years with the LA County Sheriff's Department. I had to bury my very first patrol partner, Steve Owen. I said, this is how I would like to be remembered. And it motivated me to participate. And as a shooting competitor, I got into 3-gun very, very late. I was accomplished, as you guys know, which I've got two up there, my double distinguished and my national trophies and stuff. 3-gun was a different challenge for me. It's like, I know I can shoot, but can I put all this stuff together? And 3-gun community was like, everybody steps in and helps. Mm-hmm. Nobody criticizes. Memorial 3-gun took it to a whole different level. It's hard for me to put into words what they've really done to memorialize and remember these people. And I have friends that I've lost along the way. I would love to see them memorialized in this manner. And then listening to the families. This last year in 2023, there was a stage I shot, and it was a Marine at the time. He was a staff sergeant. I was like, wait a minute. When I was an IA with the Marines, I was with that guy. We never knew each other, but I knew of him. I was like, oh, okay, now I really want to put it up a notch. The foundation is really rather unique in honoring these families and raising funds. And as a competitor, and I might go a little bit off topic,
that has never happened.
We've seen a rise and fall of 3-gun events throughout the nation, and there's very few events now you could really consider major matches. You know, up until before the Dem Panic, you know, we had 4 or 5 different matches you could consider a major match. Mm-hmm. Now basically there's like 2, and this is one of them. I mean, you get to shoot, as Jeffrey said, you get to shoot from inside of a plane, for God's sake. And this is the same plane where Tier 1 operators and other people are training also. You get to shoot from a helicopter fuselage. You get to shoot 2023. I was really, really impressed. I wanted to. I would have been very happy just shooting that stage over and over again, where we had the robot moving.
Yeah, I actually have the video of Mike shooting out of the airplane fuselage right here on my phone.
Yeah. And it's not it's not a slam dunk match. Was it 2 years ago? We had 100+ yard pistol shots out of that airplane.
Ooh, that's something.
Yeah, and so it's you talk about 3-gun. One of the things about 3-gun is it's going to find your weakness. Shotgun, pistol, rifle, it's going to find your weakness. For me, at 60+ years old, I don't move real well. So if I've got to be moving, it's going to be slow. I'm not. Michael's young and can move. So
the other Michael,
the other Michael, is the people involved in the foundation and the people that support the foundation are special. It's become a massive family. The match sells out in less than a minute. It is a big deal. The first match that we shot, we squatted on squad 10. There was really didn't know anybody. Knew a couple people on the squad that we squatted together, squatted on squad 10. Since that day, we have been on squad 10 at every single match. We have special T-shirts for squad 10, and about 70 to 75% of that squad shows up every year, including one individual who's deployed in Alaska. And it's a reunion. And we look forward to it, and we communicate with each other. So it really is bringing people together, and it's bringing people together with a common objective, a noble objective. So we talk about with some level of sadness about the losses, but the things that we have all gained through the foundation and through the process, and to be able to talk about it, to be able to meet these people, is beyond any trophy, any ribbon, any dollar amount that you can come away from a match with.
Well,
that's one thing I think that really sets things apart too. Is you go to the gun range, you go to these different places. There's always a competitive aspect, no matter whether it's baseball, football, doesn't matter. Everybody has a competitive nature in them. And out at this event, even some of the best shooters and what I would call some of the best shooters in the world are some of the most selfless individuals out there. They can absolutely bomb a stage, take 2 minutes, walk away from it, and put it behind them, knowing that's not the reason they're there. They know they want to win, but they know that's not the reason why they're there.
Yeah, I have never found a community of people who are more like welcome and nice to one another than the shooting community, specifically like 3-gunners and stuff like that. I know that like Garth and I just shot our first, quote, pro 3-gun event this summer. And, we went out and shot Zombies in the Heartland Hornadays event because it's close to us.
Yeah.
That's only a 5 or 6 hour drive.
It's close.
And so that's that's easy. That's easy for us to get to.
That's a unique event too. It's
super fun.
Yeah. And it's the same thing where you have super nice people doing it. I shoot competitively on the Army side, and I've seen that before too, where like the best shooters in the world, they're doing an EIC match, and they come up and it's I blew that, and they'll come back and it's like, oh, what happened? Hey, so the wind's tricky here, and they'll tell you how to do their hold. Like, I messed up, I should have held here, and then they'll walk off, and they're just giving that advice away to people.
Oh, absolutely. I learned so much at Grand Island just because I would go ask them questions on how I shot the match, and they were open and free about it. Hey, run it this way, don't do that, don't stop here, move here. I mean, the shooting community, like you guys said, is a fantastic family, and it's so neat to hear what you guys are doing down there, because you don't just have a memorial. I mean, memorials are great, but like Nick said, you go to a party and then you move on with your life. You guys incorporate this into life, and so like you said, it's a recurring reunion for you guys. It's something that it's a tradition. It's a beyond keeping the memory alive. It's moving on to the next chapter and bringing it with you, and that's super cool.
And that's part of it. You know, the match itself is the foundation of, well, this is going to sound weird, foundation of the foundation, but you know, we also want to get into new events. You know, you talked about the next chapter, and I think that's kind of where the foundation's going to head. We're going to move into having some new events outside of just the shooting community. I can't disclose what those events are yet, but they are different, they're unique, and they're going to appeal to a different audience as well.
They're gonna be more traditional events from a fundraising standpoint. We are you know, looking at and we'll be announcing a change in the name of the foundation later this year. Unfortunately, you know, as any of us in the Second Amendment firearms community has experienced, there is this underlying political correctness thing, and we've run into it from a fundraising standpoint, and so this shift to be able to broaden the reach of the foundation is requiring us to make that change. And as I mentioned, you know, the match sells out in less than a minute. We've got over 100 people that are on the waiting list every year, so we've maxed out the ability for the match to be the primary driver. And there's so many families that we can help. And so we need more than just the shooting community to step up and honor these families and help us support these families. So there's a lot of news that will be coming out in the coming months about this change and some of the different events that we'll be participating in, including working with other charitable organizations that support special forces, the soldiers and folks that we've lost.
That is awesome, and it's both wonderful and sad that it's grown to the point that, you know, you have to kind of, okay, we got to step a little bit away from the shooting space because we're too big for it now, which is great. But it's also sad because it's like, hey, this is kind of a shooter's thing. But I understand we can't just keep it just for ourselves, because we do want to make sure that it grows. And that's not me trying to make light of anything. It's that's the realities of it. Everybody wants to see it grow, and there comes a point where it's too big to, well, we have to change something. So,
well,
yeah,
I can tell you the event's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. The event's not going anywhere.
Yeah. But you can't do multiple events like this. We're working on it up until the match. We basically take October off, maybe November, and then we're starting on the next year. So it's a year-round, effectively, effort for the committee members, the ambassadors, the board members, to be able to put this match on. So the idea of, hey, let's just do multiple matches is not a reality. We've got this unique opportunity with Griffin Group and their facility, and they've been so generous with the foundation. There's not comparable facilities like that across the country.
Yeah, and that's understandable, especially the facility like that. And you could do this, and it might only be a one-time-a-year thing, but people can get on the waiting list and find out about all that. And where can they find out all of this stuff? So, like, where can they find out or get on to register? Is this a practice score register thing? Is it a?
It is a practice score registration. So all the practice score is www.practicescore.com. Memorial 3-gun is where you would search for the match. I can give you some information. The current wait list is a record high, and we had 160 people on the wait list this year.
Now, as it relates to information about the foundation, memorial3gun.com has information both about the foundation, supporting the foundation, our honorees, our past events. We've got some great raffles going on to help raise money. There's an unbelievable staccato out there. There's a side-by-side that's being raffled off.
A 6.5 as well. I was checking it out, and they are awesome prizes. So, guys, if you're listening and you want to spend some money for a good cause, please get on the website and do that.
And we're on all of the social medias. I'm jumping into Michael's world here, but Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So we encourage anybody that's looking for information, follow us, share our information, reach out to us. We're happy to spend time on the phone, whatever we need to do to give you the information that you want regarding the foundation, our event, and how you might be able to support us.
Well, that is awesome. And like, you're obviously willing to do this because you were like, hey, I'm going to drop everything and come on an hour earlier than I thought I was going to talk to us tonight. So,
well, and when we're talking about supporters too, today, one of the things I'm really, really horrible about is asking for people to donate or give products, because I know that they get burned out. I'm sponsored by Accuracy X, and I also work with Huxworks. I'm trying to get some stuff from them, but I had reached out to a company called, which about, Garth, Nutrient Survival, right?
Yep.
Because we talked about that. The only meals when we were together at SHOT Show in 2024, I ate out was with you and Garth. Other than that, I was in my room eating Nutrient Survival. Well, Eric Christensen, who owns that company, he is a former Army Ranger. He got back with me today. They are going to come forth and support the foundation in some manner. Of course, I told him one of the honorees that they have this year is a young man. He was a special force. He was a special force, as you were, Army specialist on his very first deployment to Afghanistan. That was Bradley, and that really kind of stirred his soul. Who steps forth to recognize a single Army specialist, E4. Well, who does that? Memorial 3-gun. Because you know what? Everybody matters. And not all of these, lack of a better term, operators who lost their lives did it in combat. Last year there was a man who died in a fire trying to save his family. We've had operators who die in training. Marcus Luttrell said the loneliest place in the world is under an aircraft carrier, because part of the dive training is to traverse underneath an aircraft carrier, and it gets very, very dark under there. So
I can only imagine.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all of those little things. And then there was another gentleman, I shoot a lot of bullseye. I was at the Nationals here. I got a donation from Alan Toller, who's a retired lieutenant colonel from the Army Reserve. He's also a optometrist. He's going to give some gift certificates for a system he calls custom sight picture. Once upon a time, real men, Nick and I have had this conversation, real men shot iron sights, but our eyes also fade over time. So he has this kit, which I have, maybe I'll go with you over later. It's a series of lenses that you can use to improve your vision to shoot better. My wife had LASIK surgery and she got monovision. Mm-hmm. She shoots a red dot, and she was having a horrible time shooting to a point it's like she wanted to give up. Well, we took her out and she used this system, tried the different lenses, and she's like, oh my God, I want to go shooting more. And I'm thinking, oh my God, well, there goes my weekend now with the boys, because now I got to bring my wife along to all these matches. So anybody that's looking to donate, it doesn't have to be related to shooting. It can be, whatever. Realize you're not just supporting the shooting community, you are supporting a community that has been dedicated to making the ultimate sacrifice to serve our country. I heard that phrase too on some of the training I went through the Marine Corps or the Navy on the first day. It's like, you do understand you might die. So, and Garth, I know, or not Garth, Nick, although Garth has been in danger from combines in South Dakota there. But Nick was one of those unsung heroes, riding a gun truck up and down Route Michigan in Iraq. So we have all of these heroes that are not recognized. And we have a lot of organizations and companies that can support us. I personally, and it's rather interesting, things I've gotten in the prize packages. And I really like how Memorial 3 Gun does the prize package. Is you get a poker chip if you're not within the top 25. And Mike and Jeffrey, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, if you're not within the top 25%, you get a poker chip, and then you go and you get your prize package. I've gotten some amazing non-shooting related items in there, and I went back to that company and got some more of their product because I was impressed with the product, and I also liked the fact that they were supporting the foundation. There was a new sponsor I saw last year. It was Valhalla Products. Mike and Jeffrey, if you know that.
Yep.
They make the most awesomest offset sight system for, I'll have to show Nick and Garth about it.
Yeah.
They make the most awesome offset sight system in the world.
Excuse me.
And
No, I
So-
love Valhalla has that their tail cap, the omnidirectional switch
For
and
the light?
Yep.
Yes.
That
yes,
omnidirectional light or switch.
I have one, and yeah, that thing is a game changer.
No, those things are awesome.
I-
And yeah, Mike, we talked to them at SHOT Show. You introduced me, and we talked
Yeah.
about Memorial 3 Gun, and they're actually getting them scheduled to come on the show from that to talk about their stuff.
Mhm.
And though it's
yeah, good, because I still do training and consulting, and there was a major law enforcement agency in California in the Los Angeles area. I showed them that tail cap, and I said, this is what you need for your patrol officers. You don't need all of this wonky stuff. And the range master looked at it and said, oh my God, this is brilliant. They gave it to some of their patrol officers, and they said, this is brilliant.
yes, it's awesome, and we'll get more on that later. But right now, guys, before we delve into some of the other things that I know Mike was going to talk about, do we have anything more about Memorial 3 Gun? So we talked about where to find you guys.
Yeah.
Before we dive too far off topic, let's
I think one other thing, we're always looking for our honorees for the next year. One of the things which Cap, talked a little bit about or implied, our definition for our honorees from a Gold Star standpoint is not the strict definition that you find in the military. We're focusing on the person. So, the heroism that they showed in battle. And the gentleman that he was referring to, he and his wife escaped the fire of the house, and when they got outside, he realized his daughters had not made it out. He was out safe. He went back in the house to save his daughters, and they all perished. And he was honored last year, and he was honored because it was that kind of heroism that he showed in battle that he brought home in an attempt to save others and to protect others. Those that have given their lives in training accidents, preparing to go to battle, those that may have, taken their lives because of the damage and the scars that they brought home with them. If there's a listener out there that has somebody in the Special Forces community that they have lost, the nomination forms are on the website. We encourage those nominations. We'll review them. We accept 10 a year. We'll communicate with you. TJ does an incredible job in running the honoree section of our foundation. She is a Gold Star spouse herself. She was one of the first. Her husband was one of the first honorees. So I think that's something we'd love to get out there as we look forward to next year's honorees.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. And like I said, you guys are, before we started diving too far off track from Memorial 3 Gun. But thanks you for coming on. We might have to have you come on before it's time to register next year to talk about it again and bring some more awareness up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But no, and we really appreciate you guys coming on and we're glad to help bring awareness to this in any way we can. So
we appreciate the time, and at any time, if you want us to come on and talk about the foundation as we shift gears and change the name and directions, we'd love to start spreading the word related to that as well. And we'd love to have the opportunity to use your platform to help us with that.
We will definitely be working with you on that in the future. So
absolutely.
All right. So we'll do that. Now we might change gears just a little bit and keep talking about a lot of competition stuff. So if you guys had stuff you needed to do or obligations, we appreciate you coming on. So understand if you have to go. If not, feel free to stay here and join in the shenanigans.
I thought we were starting
to be a school show.
All right. So
caution, guys. There might be some drinking involved here.
Alcohol may have been a factor.
Oh, you're about.
Anyway, so again, we wanted to thank you guys so much, and we're glad we could bring awareness to that. And it wasn't trying to shut down or make the show not about it anymore, as I know that Mike also had another match that Cap wanted to talk about. And that was interesting because he has a pro-am that also kind of ties in with what we were discussing earlier and having pros help amateurs.
Yes, it is this year, the title sponsor is IsoTune Sports, which is awesome ear protection. There was a member of the Marine Corps shooting team. He and I both got a wonderful set we won last year, and we were talking about how awesome the thing was at 3 Gun Memorial. Anyway, this year, the Pro-Am 3 Gun is September 21st through the 22nd at the beautiful Clinton House Plantation. Don't let the name throw you off. Clinton House Plantation in South Carolina. And it's a true Pro-Am. When I retired and I moved back to America out here on the East Coast, it's like the land of 3 Gun. I loved it. There used to be a Pro-Am at Rockcastle, but the issue was it's like the pros shot for 2 days, the AMs shot for 1 day, and we never really intermingled. What happens with this Pro-Am? It's like if you are interested in 3 Gun, this is the match for you, and there's spots left for it, is you will partner not only with a pro, you might be partnered with a series of pros. And it could be anywhere from somebody like last year, Keith Garcia was there, who he won the first 2 seasons, I believe, of Three Gun Nation. And then you've got, the guys like me that are a pro just because I can drop down and hit a 600-yard target and without thinking about it. But then shotgun will totally screw me up. So
that was a pretty humble brag there, Cap.
Well, you've seen me shoot. We won't talk about red dots and effing pistols.
Here's the thing: is the very first 3-gun match I ever shot. It's a local match here, and I shot it, and there was an old guy that was like in the northern Midwest region, kind of a pro, and he shot all the big regional matches. And I was going through, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to shoot this shotgun stage, or shotgun heavy stage. And this old guy comes up, and he's standing there. He's standing beside me, watching me as I go through, or as I'm thinking about it. And he goes, "I'll tell you this much. It's the only advice I have for you with 3-gun. Shotguns will never win you a match, but it'll sure as shit lose you one."
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I feel like that should be the motto. It should be like the tagline.
Yeah. And that's why I've went to open. I mean, in side discussion, like Dissident in Arms, Mike Whiteside and Len from Dissident in Arms, the second day when I was at Memorial 3-gun, I have a KS-12, the trunnion joint on my shotgun was loose. And they're like, "Oh, you want to use one of ours?" And I go, "Well, dude, maybe I'll just continue with mine." So I continued with mine. They took it at the end of the match back to their shop in Texas, fixed it, and sent it back to me. Because of, well, one, I'm just really an awesome guy, but they are a strong supporter of Memorial 3-gun and the shooting sports, and they strongly back their products. And even with the issue I had with that trunnion, my shotgun, that KS-12, worked flawless throughout the match. And it's a challenging match. I mean, we're doing slug shots. What is it, Mike? We had slug shots out to 60, 70 yards?
They had a slug shot a few years ago with the center of the target cut out, and that's the only time I'd hit dead center.
Because I was a squad behind Joe Farrell, and Joe and I, we knew each other. He said, "Oh my God, I could not hit any of these slug targets," and I thought, "Oh my God, I'm going to screw this up." But Mike Whiteside and his company there, Distant Arms, they came in and said, "Well, we need to do this, that, and the other." We did this, that, and the other, and I was dead center. Just that's the type of support that they give for Memorial 3-gun. Anyway, like the Pro-Am, which if you go to Practice Score, if you just Google Pro-Am, it'll probably come up. Look for Isotunes Sports Pro-Am.
If you type in Isotunes into Practice Score, it'll pull itself up.
Yeah.
There you go. And the beautiful thing there is there's some relatively inexpensive hotels to stay at there near the Clinton House plantation. And they're all nice places to stay at. And the Clinton House plantation, it's almost similar to the Griffin Group out there in Maxton, is that you will be able to shoot some types of shooting you will never be able to do at your local match. But yeah, the Pro-Am, if you just show up like last year, I showed up, the AM that was going to be with me, she had to back out because she decided she was going to get married that weekend. And it just so happened it was the, you want to talk about a small world. It turns out it was the son of one of my senior chiefs from SBU 12, and I watched this young man shoot bullseye pistol and high power rifle with us at Camp Pendleton at R116, which doesn't exist anymore. But I'm like, oh my God, the shooting community is like really small. If you don't know somebody, you probably know somebody who knows somebody.
I'll
but
say a name of a guy who's local to us that I am certain that Mike knows, because in the 3-gun world, he's like a mild celebrity. And if you don't know who King Cavalier is,
King, yeah.
That's why I know Nick. Nick knows you, so it's like 6 degrees of separation. I name drop a lot.
Well, Garth, that's how you now know Jerry Michelik, because we were at SHOT Show. I think it was like 2018, and you said, "Wow, I'd really like to meet him." I'm like, "Well, come on over. I know the man." And you were like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I'm starstruck, and you go, "Oh yeah, I know Jerry. Come on over." Yeah, of course you know Jerry.
Yeah, we walked over, and Jerry was like, "Oh, hey, Cap, how you doing? What's with your leg?" Because I had that's when the rebuild of my legs had begun. But anyway, like back to the Pro-Am, if you are really interested in trying to get into 3-gun, it can be an intimidating sport. If you sign up for that match and show up and just say, "I'm here, who can shoot with me?" we'll provide you all the gear. Like last year, there was a AM on our squad. He didn't have a pro with him. He showed up with, because we live in America out here in the Carolinas, he showed up with a 12-inch SBR. Well, we're doing shots at 600 yards. That ain't going to work, buddy. He showed up with a pump shot. He showed up with a pump shotgun, and he had a pistol that wasn't quite up to speed. And I won't say anything negative about Taurus, but
I will.
It just so happened Donnie Fowler, had told me, hey, he said, and Mike Sexton, they said, hey, if you got any extra gear, bring it. So I had 2 Mark Roth shotguns. I had extra pistols. In fact, I had 1 extra Accuracy X pistol with me. He shot all of my gear, and I had a Terran Tactical rifle. He shot all of that and had a blast because he enjoyed it. And that's what we do in the shooting community. We support each other. I mean, and I've seen that at Memorial 3-Gun also. I've seen some high-level shooters where their equipment crapped out and somebody else came and said, hey, here you go. You can use my gear.
They're throwing the gear at you. They want you to finish the match. They're not going to let you quit because of your equipment.
Yep. That is one of the things for a competitive sport, there are more people willing to be like, oh no, use mine. Because, I don't know if it's just like the military bred that one is none, thing into me or what, but like I'll leave to go to a match and I've got 2 pistols, 2 or 3 rifles, a spare shotgun. I even made Garth bring a spare shotgun to zombies, and he was really happy I did.
Yeah.
And let's not like hide the fact that the items that these people are willing to give you to throw in a bucket, and they're not, we're not talking $500 pistols here. We're talking some change.
Yeah.
I know that the very first competition I ever showed up to, I think I did like one local USPSA match before I shot my first 3-gun. And I walked into it and I had like, okay, yep. Like I had my chest rig from the military, and I was like, all right, yep, this will work. I can stuff mags in it. I knew enough that I needed some sort of shotgun holder, and I walked in with my Beretta 92.
Yeah.
And like I literally walked in and they look at my holster, like my belt setup and what I have, and they go, guy looks at me and goes, so what department do you work with? And I go, what? And he goes, what department are you in? I go, oh, I'm not a cop. And he goes, oh, how long you been in the Army? I was like, how'd you know? He's like, because no one other than cops or military shoots a Beretta by choice.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's funny that when people break into it. I remember my first Fort Benning match. We had a stage where you got to shoot a saw at some LaRue targets,
yep.
And then from there you entered a house and you cleared the house. It was all slugs. So it was 22 slugs in the house. I had just started shooting 3-gun, and I was so into it. I went to Walmart and I bought cases. I still have them of Slugger slugs at 1,550 feet per second. I came out of that house and needed a therapist. So are you shooting sluggers? Then that's when the first time I learned about low recoil slugs.
Yeah, I made that same mistake because I bought mine 15 years ago too, and went, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. And then I actually bought a shotgun that's worthy of competition this year and sighted it in and went, oh. Yeah. Well,
How about matches used to have buckshot in them?
Yes.
And Jeffrey, how many cases of that do you have sitting around?
I have plenty of that.
Yeah, I know the first time, so obviously, we're from South Dakota. It's no secret. And so we'd never shot slugs because shotguns were for shooting pheasants and geese.
Correct.
And, I was like, oh, okay. So the first time I ever shot a slug, I think I was shooting the Winston P. Wilson Small Arms Championship down in Little Rock. It was the Bianchi battle. So they're like, oh, here, grab this. It's a Mossberg 590. Shoot a slug, and we're shooting at a figure 11 Ivan target at 100 yards. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Well,
no concept of what it is.
Rather interesting. It was nice to hear Jeffrey talking about Fort Benning, because I was able to go to Fort Benning in 2019 and 2020. And that was an absolutely wonderful major match. And the beautiful thing about that match is that you don't reset your targets.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have a bunch of E3s and E4s and second lieutenants resetting your targets. And,
and they're
amazing.
They're running to do it.
Yes. And I was out there. Okay. I'm the first class. And I asked this one lieutenant, I go, buddy, I just like to know, who the hell did you piss off that you're out here resetting targets? Well, what they did was all of the second lieutenants, once they finished their officer ITC, their infantry training course, or whatever the hell the Army calls it. I know what the Marine Corps calls it. I don't know what the Army calls it. Is they said they held us over a week. What's that?
BOLOC, Basic Officer Leadership Course, or some other such crap.
Yeah, they said, they held us over here a week to help us. But then they all said, oh my God, this is so amazing. I want to do this, which, like you'll find out at Memorial 3-Gun, people will show up and just say, what can I do to help? And I was like, whatever you want to do. But like I said, back to the Pro-Am, that's September 21st and 22nd. And I gave Nick and Garth, whoever's in charge of your feed there, the links to go and sign up. They're both on Practice Score. If you want to find out more about the Pro-Am, you can go to tarhill3g.com, and they've got information about the Pro-Am and other matches that they have. They do a lot of AK matches. I found out I'm really good at AK matches. Memorial 3-Gun is memorial3gun.com.
Now, you know what the biggest problem with an AK is? Other than it was designed to be shot by starving communists?
And right-handers.
Well, that's because, hey, you left-handers can cry about it all you want, but it's all, I see, we have, what is it? Your background there says something about, not right shooters.
Yes.
And so do we have 3 lefties on here tonight?
So we got the majority.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's okay. That still doesn't make you right.
We've overcome the commonness.
And see, I write left-handed, but I do everything else right-handed.
That
So
just shows weakness in the inability to resist to them trying to convert you to right-handedness.
No, it's because I'm ambidextrous.
That's what they're telling you.
But
Well,
no, the real problem with the AK platform is you can't put a VZ grip on it. And the unique feature of VZ AR grips is they're machined from a solid block of G10, and G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when covered with mud, blood, or sweat. 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, as well as color options and shorty versions available. You can also get them for 1911s with extreme customizability, standard slim palm swells, slim notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available, as well as grips for my beloved Berettas. And there is one coupon code that is good for 15% off all handgun and rifle grips, and that code is AR-15 podcast.
you beat me to it, because I was going to say I actually use a IWI Galil Ace in 7.62 by 39, and it runs great because it lasts through blood, mud, sweat, and tears. But VZ Grips doesn't make anything for it. So,
Yeah. Well, and
but I've got VZ Grips on a whole. In fact, I've got VZ Grips on my bullseye gun, which I was next door to John Shue at the Nationals this year, and I wore my Memorial Hawaiian shirt, which you can find if you cannot make the match, but you want to help to support the foundation, you can go to memorial3gun.com, go to store, and that will take you to Shopify to buy a whole lot of different products we have for the 3-Gun Foundation. So even if you can't make the match, you can't make a donation, you can get some really cool things to wear. And I think it's, is it Jordan who's modeling the Hawaiian shirts?
Do they come in barbecue sexy size?
I wore that for yeah, there you go, right there. I wore that the last day at the Civilian Marksmanship Program bullseye matches, and I ran into another member of the foundation there when we shot the Glock matches, and it's rather interesting. I lost the Glock Unlimited match to one of my other team shooters who I loaned my gun to. Right. So, like I said, we're out there, and you can support the foundation in many different ways. And I wore my 3-Gun Memorial. I need to send that to you, Nick and Garth. I wore my Hawaiian shirt on one of the days for AK Masters, and there were 2 range officers on one of the stages, which was the shoot house. They had the same shirt on to support the Memorial Foundation. They've never shot Memorial 3-Gun. They said they will probably never shoot Memorial 3-Gun because they don't shoot 3-Gun. but they believe in the foundation and the mission of the foundation.
And
You got me all excited, Cap. I'm on the link right now, and it's one
Somebody else
shy
start
of
talking.
barbecue sexy.
it's and everything I think is 20% off through the weekend or through Saturday, Michael.
I believe through Saturday right now.
Yeah, it's 20% off through Saturday.
I see Jeffrey's lips moving, but I don't hear anything.
Well, that's okay because I could hear him, Cap. He said
Yeah.
everything is 20%
And now I
off
hear
through Saturday.
Nick
Yeah.
talking.
And then and I
Oh
chose
my
to wear
God!
the
Did I
Hawaiian
get muted or something?
Yay, internet.
Yeah, internet.
I'm a little bird when I was up in the helicopter, just because of the striking resemblance between me and Magnum PI.
Oh, yes, I can totally see it.
See that? Yeah.
That mustache is there. You're just like a red Ferrari away from it.
Oh, yep.
I'm going shopping tomorrow.
I believe it. So, Cap, can you hear us still, or are you in internet ether land? I'm not sure if he's messing with me or not. So, as we keep talking about it, guys, I think the main thing that we're talking about here and really illustrating is there are these major matches around. There's matches for a great cause, but the shooting community will always like help each other out. And I have never found a better community than the shooting community. And I will like die on that hill.
I agree. You know, talking about the support, and I think in general, whether it's the Pro-Am, whether it's Memorial 3-Gun, you know, everybody thinks of these companies that should support have to be in the 2A community, and they really don't. I mean, in order to put on these events, it's just like anything else. You got to have, you know, tents and vendors and porta johns and everything else. I mean, operational expenses, those are the things that it takes to put on any fundraiser. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
galas, golf tournaments, dinners, any sort of fundraiser still requires some sort of support to cut down the operational costs, not just for prize tables. So there are ways for companies to get involved on anything to give back to the community outside of just being a prize table or a 2A company.
Yeah. And I know this is just coming from me, and I'm just some guy in his basement who talks about guns on the internet. That like I've shot a lot of matches with no prize tables at all.
Yep.
Just because one, I like shooting, I like to challenge myself, and generally I like hanging out with other shooters to talk about, you know, like strangely enough, I like talking about guns and shooting and things of that nature. And you know, it's all good just to be like, hey, what's up, fellow gun nerds? And like, I'm going to have a conversation for an hour about weird, you know, ogive stuff, and no one's going to think I'm, you know, standing around wasting their time.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that's cool is like, you know, you talk about bringing people together. And I think this year we have over 35 campers coming, like RV campers that will be at the event. And those people, I'll tell you what, I don't know if y'all have ever been around the camping community, but they know how to have a good time.
We know a thing or two about camping.
Yeah.
Not that we do it, but there's a lot of it around here.
Yeah.
We host some matches here in Atlanta, and the camping community. They came out and camped, and we finally get the match cleaned up. We go up to have dinner with the group, and one of them's got a hot tub set up outside of his camper.
Nice.
You know, it's amazing. But the community itself is fantastic. It you know, and I know that, you know, 3-Gun and some of these other things can be intimidating. It just show up like he was explaining what they showed up with. I mean, show up with whatever you got, and there'll be somebody that's going to step up and help you. And it doesn't matter whether they're a top shooter or, you know, somebody that's relatively new. It is kind of a play it forward type.
Yeah, and
I've
that's
done
one
that
thing that's
personally.
unique about. Oh, sorry. That's one thing that's unique about you know, the match out there at Clinton House at the Pro-Am. It is a true Pro-Am. When you are signed up with your pro, they can walk the stage with you. They can spot for you. They can call your shots. They can tell you targets left, targets right, reload. They can do everything for you except reload and pull the trigger. So you want to come out and learn a lot and spend time with people that really do know what they're doing, that can truly help you. That is the match for you. Oh, we got Michael back.
Yep.
I'm glad he's back, because when he was frozen, he kind of looked like a pixelated Joe Biden. I was concerned.
That might be the meanest thing you've ever said about him.
I was working about how to unburden like what has been burdened to burden you.
Easy, Kamala.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I have no idea what the hell happened, but
the joys of the internet.
I'm sure I said, I'm sure I said just some absolutely wonderful pearls of wisdom that nobody heard.
Oh, incredibly insightful. I'm positive.
So riveting. Had me on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Yeah. We have to go. We have to go back to was that Garth's favorite place? Hookers and heifers. Is that what it was?
Oh no, hogs and heifers.
Hogs
it's
and
not
heifers,
my favorite. That's
what it was.
Nick's favorite place.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence about that place.
Yeah.
Just because Garth yelled at a bartender, and the exact quote of the evening was, "Be quiet, my boobs are bigger than yours."
That is a direct quote.
Yeah.
And she didn't know what to say, and she left me alone the rest of the night. So,
yeah,
it was an interesting evening, but so had Tales from Vegas, but
yeah, not going this year, so it don't matter.
Yep, with what the NSSF pulled on the state of Colorado, we're not going to SHOT Show this year. So I'm sure you guys all heard about that and their refusal to show up in court to actually fix things, which is a bummer.
Yeah. Well, we won't talk about that. We're talking about great things here. We're talking about Memorial 3-Gun, honoring our fallen brothers and sisters, and Pro-Am, helping to get more people into the sport.
Jen just said that, or Jen Champ Jr. here says, my first IDPA match, one of the match directors gave me crap all day about my USPSA gear at an IDPA match, but was also a solid leader. Like, actually helped out, which can be a problem if you forget your fishing vest.
That's right. That's right. It's the same thing that happens if you show up with sporting clays with a 12 round tube on your shotgun.
Hey, I've been that guy.
So have I.
Well, my local club I belong to, they had a Top Shot competition, which I finished second in because the 22 small bore, my mini mag 22 ammunition crapped out. But for the sporting clays, I showed up with my Mark Roth 3-gun shotgun. And, the tube extends past the muzzle. And everybody was looking at me like really strange until I started breaking all the clays. And then everybody was like, who makes that shotgun? Because, well, it's not a $10,000 Kriegerhoffen Hoffer. I said, it's a $2,000 highly tuned 3-gun shotgun. But I moved away from modified and practical because of arthritis and things. And I realized, Joe Farrell brought me to the light that, hey, all you have to do is like take this magazine and put it in this wonderful shooting device, and it dispenses everything. I'm like, that's a lot better than shoving all of these shells in here.
Correct.
I was always amazed, which, by the way, I have to thank, Memorial 3-Gun for having a really lack of a better term, broad mind and bringing in the whole shooting community. Everybody knows the Marine Corps and the Army have these large shooting teams. Now, granted, I was on the Marine Corps rifle team in '88, and I still knew some of those people. But the Navy also has an action shooting team. It was actually founded by Jeremy Leitner, who has shot the IPSC shotgun competitions. And I got on there early to help promote it. And now the Navy action shooting team has really grown to a point I actually had to use some of those shooters for a video we did with Mr. Beast. If you watch the Mr. Beast Protect the Yacht, all but one of those shooters are Navy team shooters on there. But every year at Memorial 3 Gun, there is and please, Jeffrey or Michael, correct me if I'm wrong because they've never been involved with it, but every year there is a squad for the families. And that squad is escorted by and accompanied with somebody from the Army Marksmanship Unit or the Marine Corps shooting team. This year, Memorial 3 Gun really put a lot of faith into the Navy action shooting team, and they're going to be able to accompany the family this year. So for myself, that just really kind of shows the dedication for the foundation for being all encompassing, not just saying, hey, we're always going to have these great guys from the AMU. That's all that they do. Or we're always going to have these guys from the Marine Corps shooting team. Because unfortunately, the Navy team has a very, very small budget, and most of those guys are volunteers. All the equipment that they're using, they've bought. For the most part, the ammunition that they're using, they've bought. And they do that because they're dedicated to representing the Navy. And once upon a time, back in my world of high power and bullseye, there are records that have been set by the Navy shooting team that still stand today. So I have to thank Memorial 3 Gun for making the leap to say, hey, we are going to honor these guys to take care of these Gold Star families. Going back to Memorial 3 Gun.
Yeah, that is awesome. I will not be able to, like, this is one of those matches when I heard about it, I was like, man, I want to do that. I should get signed up, see if I get on the wait list. This year, I know that I can't do it because I'll actually be in Georgia down at a school with the AMU for the whole month of October. So,
oh yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
Yep. So I won't be able to be there for that, and we have some other stuff. So, listeners, don't worry. There'll be some mini episodes dropping, and we're not going to leave you hanging. We just won't be live for the month of October.
Yeah.
So, but we have that stuff going on, and again, guys, we really appreciate you coming on and spending time with us to talk about this. Obviously, we love talking about shooting in general and all of these matches, but we really do appreciate the chance of you guys coming on to talk about this so we can help spread the word about events like this, because it is, I feel, so blatantly important that we have to we really have to kind of spread the word about these events. And yeah, there's no other way to say it. Is we have to help each other out as much as we can, and we are here to do that. So,
well, I have to say thank you, Garth, and and Dooley. We've known each other for many years, and the Firearms Radio Network. This was a spur of the moment thing Garth presented to me, and then I reached out to the foundation to get people more knowledgeable than myself, such as Michael and Jeffrey, involved here. So myself personally, as veteran and a 3-gun shooter, I'm appreciative of your time. You could have had somebody else in here talking about all kinds of wazoo wonderful AR-15 stuff, but instead you had us. And I know, like, you and your wonderful wife, you're both veterans. You guys never backed away. You deployed whenever you were called up. You didn't mysteriously decide to retire. I did the same thing. I did the same thing. I was a single dad. I was told, hey, deploy. I'm like, oh, crap. Okay, well, mom and dad here, take care of my kids while I'm gone.
Yeah, let me figure this out.
Yeah, exactly. We figure it out. We make it work, which, again, that was one of the things. If you look at the history, we really kind of need to make a documentary about the beginning of Memorial 3-gun, because it really is a success story about what Bryson and Jordan did. The first Memorial 3-gun could have been a train wreck, but because of the way they handled it and presented it, it grew to what it is today. I mean, you have a match. What is it, Michael? It's now the 6th year, 7th year?
7th year.
The what?
7th year.
7th year, yeah. I knew I was right in there. You got to remember, for about a year, I was like heavily on drugs while my legs were being rebuilt. So I lost that time in my life. But it is amazing that this is now, I would say, the premier 3-gun match in the nation, and not just for the match itself, but for what it does and what it stands for.
The initial match almost never happened.
Yes.
It was a couple of weeks before the venue that it was supposed to be at pulled out, and they scrambled, and Griffin Group stepped up and donated the facility so that they could put on that first match. And it's been there ever since. They've been supportive. So, when that to me is one of the great things is when people see the need and are willing to step up and put themselves out. And that's what we've experienced with the foundation. I can't thank the two of you enough for allowing us to come on and spend the time to talk about it. It's not always laughs, but it's something that's so critically important, and it's near and dear to our hearts. The time spent here, we do it over and over again if it's going to help one more family.
Well, you're very welcome. We both feel it's a story that needs to be told, and we will definitely do our part to get it out there. So,
yes, 100%. Again, obviously, it's as Cap was talking about. I'm both my wife is my wife was 21 years Air Force. I'm 24 years now Army. That's I have to remember, because I'm like, what year is it? I don't know. I'm still 25, right? and then I go to
command first sergeant minor. Is that what you are now? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. It's no. Well, I'm in my dream gig now, because all I do is train marksmanship. So it's one of those. What are you? Hey, I'm just the range guy. Like, I'll leave when I want to. I'm just here to shoot stuff. Yeah. So, but my entire job is marksmanship now, and I'm like, yeah, how long are you gonna be around? I don't know, until it quits being fun. And
I can tell you guys, me and Jeffrey appreciate you guys inviting us on. Thanks, Cap, for extending that out to us. Thank you guys for hosting this for us, for the foundation. We join you guys anytime on this, and we definitely, Jeffrey and I definitely hope to do this again. Moving forward, and especially as new announcements roll out from the foundation and big plans for next year and some unique events.
100%. We would love to have you guys on again. We'll have you back on when we start making announcements, and we'll talk more about your events coming up, because this is something that I definitely believe in and want to make sure that we keep promoting. So we've talked about this. You can find you at Memorial 3 Gun on all the social medias. And then, of course, memorial3gun.com. And anywhere else you guys want to talk about where to find stuff, or yourselves, or any shameless self-promotion that you want to do?
Well, shameless, we're not doing that. But yeah, anything that any of our links, if you want to support the foundation, you can go onto the website. You can access all the donate tab pop-ups, access to the online store, cool merchandise, unique merchandise. We've got some new products out there, some new t-shirts that are pretty unique. And then we also have all of our current raffles. Like Jeffrey mentioned earlier in the podcast, these are a couple big things. There's a rifle currently, a really cool staccato, and what is also one of the largest prizes that we've had to date, which is a Can-Am Defender side-by-side. So those are all available to purchase raffle tickets. You can go online and go to the website to access those, or go to the link in any of our social medias, and it'll take you right to them.
All right. Well, that is awesome. Thank you so much for finding that. Garth, is there anything, or Cap, you got anything else you want to add before we start moving on to close things out?
No, I mean, since you are going to be on a hiatus in October, if you want to do a live feed or something, I will be out there at Memorial 3 Gun. I'd be more than happy to do any live feeds for you guys, showing you the stages. I've given you guys many of videos of the stages. It's just like, you would not believe what I did. Hey, I used this Genesis shotgun to breach a door, and then went in and I had to engage these 24 targets, and then I had the shotgun, and then I had to crawl up into a Humvee and engage this moving robot at 200 yards. Again, like shooting from the airplane was awesome, and that was one of the best RO crews I ever had because of the tight confinement in there. Just the professionalism of all these volunteers is amazing. Wish there was more events like this.
All right. Well, then we got that. Garth, you got anything else you want to add?
I do. They should definitely check out patriotpatch.co
Yes.
for all of your patch accessory needs. I have one of my favorite ones here. I went and got it off my patch wall. Make treason lethal again. This is my all-time favorite patch from them. And the way things are rolling in this country, let's do this. So, guys, go check out Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co, and support a local South Dakota business.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And with that, guys, obviously, make sure you check out VZ Grips, check out Memorial 3 Gun. With that, I think it's about time for us to close out because we've been going for a little bit longer than normal. So we will keep going with this. And so everyone knows what I'm about to say. Guys, remember, no one is going to come and save you. Go out, get training. Make sure that you will be your own first responder. And you folks out there, stay safe and stay armed. Support the people who support the show. Primary Arms, VZ Grips, 4patriots.com, and Patriot Patch Company. Be sure to check us out on social media. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on Instagram, AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on YouTube, AR-15 Podcast 2 on Twitter, AR-15 Podcast on Facebook, and wherever podcasts are found. If you just want to drop us a line, let us know how we're doing, or give us a show idea, Make sure to send that email to AR-15podcast 2.0 at gmail.com.